everyone. Welcome to this AM Upskills webinar. I am Georgia Seagout. I'm the editor of Aesthetic Medicine, and I'm joined this morning by Charmaine Chow, who is the founder of skincare selling platform GetHarley, and Dr Uma Jeyanathan. And we are here this morning to talk all about how to start selling skincare and earning a passive income. So if anyone has any questions for either of our speakers during the session, please do pop them in the Q&A box and we will have time to answer your questions just at the end. I'm going to just let a few more people come in. So how this session is going to work, rather than doing a presentation, we're just going to have a bit of a chat, and Dr. Uma is going to share her experience about how she started selling skincare in her practice, and her kind of journey with that, and how she found something that really works for her, and sharing some sort of practical advice and tips for those of you who are thinking about introducing it and expanding your practice. And then we'll go over to Charmaine to tell you a little bit about how GetHarley works, how you can get involved, and the benefits of working with this sort of platform to help you sell skincare even after lockdown when we're back in clinic. So, Uma, do you want to just give us a bit of an intro to you and your business and what you do?
Yeah, of course. Thank you, Georgia. Okay, so I'm Uma Jeyanathan, and by trade have been a dentist for 15 years, and I run clinics in Putney. So I'm the lead facial aesthetic clinician in Putney. It's a My Dentist clinic, but we branded it as My Skin, and I work with a plastic surgeon in Bellevue as well. So I'm the non-surgical team there. And now we're going to talk a little bit about the skincare side of things.
Yeah, so how long have you been retailing skincare in your practice, Uma? Why did you start?
Well, it's actually really interesting, the whole process of me getting the sort of medical grade skincare into the practice, and then obviously then joining the GetHarley team. So I would say when we branded My Skin, which was 5 years ago now, I had been injecting for a while, and that's what a lot of us do. A lot of clinicians, we are facial aesthetic practitioners. We are, experts at anatomy, especially the dentists, the head and neck anatomy, and we're great at that. However, I have to say, it wasn't enough. And there was some sticky moments, I would say, when we were marketing and we would talk always about the injectables. And actually, I just felt like we need to take it to a holistic level. We need to look at all of it, the lifestyle factors. And I created these 3 pillars, which which I stand by when it comes to my clinic. And that is talking about medical grade skincare, then your skin health treatments, then your advanced facial aesthetics. So when we brought in the skincare, I had it within the clinics, and I really wanted patients to see it. I had this obsession with like display cabinets, which we can't do now because of COVID. But I think on every level, patients, everyone you ask would want healthier skin. And that doesn't scare them away. That was, for me, the marketing side of it. That was going to be their pull. And then they can start looking at other treatments and then maybe fully go to the dark side and have a few injectables. And that's when we started it. But what we found was inventory, stock, buying it all in, keeping it, and then the girls, so my team, the treatment coordinators and the nurses, having to dedicate a lot of time to that. And then another part of it for me was I'm very much a single tasker. So I'm clinical, and it's about clinical acumen and trying to be the best I can and give my patients everything. So real patient-centered care. I maybe wouldn't remember to get their skincare or to prioritize it. So that's how it started.
So then those were your concerns, as you said, about, would you say the inventory thing was one of your main concerns about, like, how do I, and then having to do like minimum opening orders and taking on whole ranges?
Yeah, I mean, for a lot of people, especially, if you're not a big practice, like a lot of us, there's a few of us in the practice, or sometimes you're just single-handed and you're working at different practices. How are you going to keep everything and keep stock of it? A patient might message you directly going, have you got this, retinoid in or retinol? And it becomes like another huge part of your job, and it's on your mind all the time. So, that's where we lead into how GetHarley has completely flipped, changed, and helped me pivot completely.
So then how did you find out about GetHarley? kind of attracted you to the platform? Like, how did it sort of get rid of any of those concerns that you had?
Well, it was interesting because I think we all have these obstacles. So for me, it was like, you know, this has to be easier. How can this be easier? And like for me, GetHarley are like the how people, like they take away all of those, all the questions that we have to ask as clinicians. Like I'm not techie. I couldn't even, you know, imagine how they organize all of this, and they make it look so easy. So it'd been around, I'd heard the name a lot, you know, at the conferences and everything, but a few key opinion leaders, they are using them or on the platform. Some quite, you know, established names in the industry. And when you think, well, if they're, you know, benefiting from GetHarley, why can't I? And a few sort of, you know, really good trainers who I spoke to, who I know, and they recommended GetHarley. And actually they'd spoken to one of the plastic surgeons at a conference and who I work with at Bellevue. And she had said to me, this is for you. I feel like this would really work for you. And then when enough people say it, then you go, right, I have to do this. I'm going to book it. So I did.
Mm. So we'll come to Charmaine a little bit later to explain like the kind of the practical side of the platform. But essentially it allows you as a clinician to sell skincare through a really kind of user-friendly platform that has an interface for you and then one for the client as well, doesn't it? But how did you then, because I can imagine for some people, it's a case of you might be kind of shifting that skincare, but then sort of thinking, well, how do I price it and how do I fit it in and sort of do it so that I'm not just breaking even, but I'm actually making a profit on it. So can you talk a little bit about how you kind of ensured that side of it so that it was actually beneficial to you rather than being just, you know, like you said, something else that you then had to sort of do and think about?
Yeah, well, I mean, it only became profitable once I moved to GetHarley, to be quite honest, because before that, I hadn't prioritized it. It was something that was really important to me, but I hadn't prioritized it because, you know, as clinicians, we do, you know, make a fair amount in clinic. So it was something that wasn't on my radar. So what happens is with GetHarley, I have this amazing one-to-one with the patient, your meet and greet, and then I can create these plans really focused on them, medical grade, bespoke to the patient, and then they take all of the problems away from me. So the sales side of it, the tech side of it, the delivery side, the stock, the inventory, that all just gets passed. So you can just focus on that. And then everything from that point is profit. So all of that's taken away, and then you get the actual profit from that skincare. And then it's repeated sales. So then it's all, you know, the patient will replenish, and they will, obviously, if they've got an incredible medical grade skincare plan that is you have to be consistent with, they will keep replenishing, and then you're getting those profits. So it's long-term gain and it builds over time. And that has then now become actually quite a key part of my business. But also for anybody who is, and I know there's a lot out there who, because I work with some amazing clinicians who don't rate medical grade skincare like I do, because I see huge differences, and my patients do, and we have for such a long time now. But it brings them in, and they will want other treatments as well, because we're all getting older, so we all have more needs, you know. So, you know, it's never just that, something's just never enough for 1 year. You might need, you know, as we get closer to 40, we will need a little bit more. So that's then where we then book the treatments as well. So there is benefits, not just for your actual passive income, but for actually building your clinic. So that's what I found.
Yeah, so then sort of referring between like the skincare and the actual treatment side, do you find that happens quite organically then with a lot of your patients who have skincare plans?
Yeah, like unless they live really far away, like global, because they ship out globally. So we'll have patients from America, Australia, and we do like an online consultation. Obviously they can't come to clinic, but if they're local, they're 100%, they trust you and they will come to you for your treatment. So that has, like, we're getting fully booked for the future just from me doing my online consultations now during sort of this lockdown, and referring them back to my treatment coordinator. So that's incredible.
And then, So when you first sort of started doing this and incorporating skincare into the business, if you hadn't ever created like a home care plan for patients with skincare before, have you got any tips on how other clinicians can sort of perhaps switch into that mindset and start doing that for their patients with home care?
Yeah, I think the key is, first of all, understand your products. Like I am, really well trained in the skincare that I sell. So, and I don't stop learning. So I first ever sort of did my full training in 2016 with like just the Neostrata range, and I continuously learn. And then obviously I'm using Skin Better and some other amazing products, but you have to know it, and you've got to know the chemistry, and we're all smart enough to know the chemistry. It is a little bit overwhelming to start with. Really understand it, and then go from how you're doing like a normal consultation, go from medical history, because you'll get so many clues from that. Their lifestyle factors. Diet for me is hugely important, and sleep. So we just look at everything, all together, and you then get a real idea of what they need, and then be really open. How do they like their skincare? Do you like loads of stuff or just a couple of stuff? And what's your budget? And you have to be open, because if you overwhelm them with like a £500 plan, it might just scare them away. And I'll be like, look, if you just want to try one serum, just order a serum and see if you like it. We'll put in a couple of samples of X, Y, and Z. So I think you just have to be really open and don't push the sales. Like, to be fair, GetHarley are the people that will do the sales for you, and you can then just be yourself, because it is really uncomfortable as sort of a medical professional to feel like you're salesy. You don't want to be that. So this does take that away from you.
And then can you also as well, like when you were saying that some people might get overwhelmed by like a sort of really expensive or elaborate skincare regime, am I right in thinking you can sort of create a more extensive routine for them, but then you could perhaps say like, these are the key ones that I would definitely say, like, these are your core products. And then if you want to consider the others, it will still be there or in your plan. Yeah,
so you could create something that like, this could be your end goal, but why don't you just pick out your antioxidant and your retinoid? That's it for now. And then you can write notes to GetHarley and say, in 3 months, can you just let the patient know this? And you can sort of really tailor it, and you've got the freedom to do that. And what I love this bit, the customer service, where the patient can constantly sort of talk to their private concierge basically and say, oh, I'm not sure about this, what can I do? And then you can then advise them going, layer up with moisturizer, do the sandwich technique, so you can give them that. They're never just left. So how I am with my patients is I do expect, courtesy call the next. I do want my patients to know that they're fine. So within clinic, and they're never just, left to be swollen and upset on their own after they've had injectables. Like, we're there, and both clinics are like that. We're there. And that's what GetHarley's like. They're very much patient-centered care, because I couldn't work with a team that didn't care. So that's definitely, it aligns well.
And then, so you mentioned briefly about how GetHarley will contact your patients for top-ups. So is that at a set sort of interval, or does that depend on how long they are going to perhaps get out of that particular product? Like, how often do patients get followed up with if they want to replenish?
I think Charmaine will be able to give the absolute details, but usually the products, last 3 months. So before that point, they'll get a little, message to.
We have an intelligence system. So if you buy something that lasts 6 months, we message you at 5 months and a half. If you buy something that lasts 4 months, we message you at 3 months and a half. And we really just try to make the practitioner look good and turbocharge whatever that they can do in clinic. And every time someone comes into clinic, you give them your best care, right, Uma? That's sort of the way that you are. And we are just really trying to extend that care digitally as well on behalf of Uma to her patients.
That's quite a nice little transition into speaking to you, Charmaine. So, because one of the things that I think would be good to share with the audience is some of the sort of figures to demonstrate how Uma's business has perhaps become more profitable since you started working with GetHarley. And I think you might have some of those stats and figures that you can perhaps share with us.
Yeah, I mean, I guess the first question is, Uma, before you joined GetHarley, how much skincare sales were you doing in clinic, if at all?
So I hadn't really sort of monetized it at that point.
Yeah.
It was happening. It was all about the business. It was all about marketing.
You were thinking about it, and maybe you had like You have one or two patients who asked you for something and you're like, fine, I'm going to get it into clinic for you, but not really, right? And when you joined us, I remember it was sort of in the middle of COVID, and I was just looking at your dashboard, and it looks like basically last month, February was your highest month ever. And basically your annualized sales was around 90,000 pounds of skincare. And half of that came from new patients. And obviously you're very active with content and stuff, so people keep coming to you for recommendations and you're growing that way. But the other half is repeat sales. It's literally like patients that you sent plans to 6 months ago who are buying their third box, and just basically all the repeat work that's happening in the background automatically is coming into your financials. So it's really incredible. And I think that's really testament to how good Uma is at really knowing what her patients need and then making those recommendations. And then GetHarley just makes it super easy for people to purchase them. But it really starts from Dr. Uma spending the time educating herself to know what products to sell. And also GetHarley helps with that by, trying to connect you with the right brands that might necessarily fit your practice.
Yeah. So although like this is a great way to then start earning that passive income, you as a clinician still need to be kind of helping it along, right? And I guess, have you got any tips or anything that you really see clinicians doing, Charmaine, who you work with to really help it work for themselves?
I think the first thing is they need to understand medical grade skincare, and they need to, spend the time, invest the time to actually understand what certain ingredients do for your skin. And not all ingredients are the same. And also some similar ingredients have different strengths and also different textures depending on how they're formulated. So like Uma says, it's not just, your skin and then you need L-ascorbic acid, but it's like your skin, you need this ingredient, but actually you prefer this formulation, or you're a high stress person and therefore maybe you only want to use things once a day, that sort of thing. So it's really like that deep empathy and caring about what your patient wants. And then what GetHarley enables that practitioner to do is that no matter how complicated or no matter how obscure that brand is or the steps are, you literally just spend a minute to make the plan, and everything, all the information that you want to transmit into your patient's plan is stored on GetHarley. And GetHarley basically takes that and maintains, the patient compliance and all of that for the practitioner. But I think the way that we've built our platform is so intuitive that you can literally just make these plans and say, use this thing PM only, use this thing AM only. Yeah. Here are some nuances for this patient that is like super custom. I want her to use this thing on every Friday. I mean, let's just say, and GetHarley make sure that that's delivered. And no practitioner has the time to follow up with that kind of level of detail, but GetHarley, because we have the tech, we have the service, we have the team, and it's our bread and butter, we basically enable that knowledge that Uma has for the patient to be, transferred to the patient, and that patient just gets, guidance on phone any time of day.
And I think that is a really nice feature of it, is that the clinician can add in those like specific notes about usage, and because once you know your patient and you know their skin and you know perhaps what treatments they're having in clinic, you can add those notes in. They don't have to worry about, are they using it properly? Are they complying? Are they going to cause problems for themselves or whatever? So what brands are available on GetHarley? Like how does the brand side of things work?
So many. The first thing I would say is that GetHarley never decides what brands to bring on board. All the brands that are on our platform are really powered by our practitioners saying, Charmaine, I've seen the results. I know this thing works. I want to recommend this to my patients. And we basically establish relationships with those brands on behalf of the practitioner. Again, always taking out pain and work from the practitioner. So brands that are on our platform are like Skin Better Science, Obagi, Cispera. A lot of them are actually practitioner only brands. So you can't actually get it without a practitioner's recommendation. So like Cispera, Obagi, what else? Medik8, Neostrata. These are some of the brands that are often like available online, but the problem is that you obviously wouldn't know which ones to get unless your practitioner says, this particular Medik8 and that particular thing. And oftentimes you get a mix of, lower price point, more available online products merged with, practitioner only products that are typically more active and more potent. And from the patient's perspective, it's just like, if Uma tells me to get this brand that I can get from Boots, but then all the other stuff I can't get, I'm just going to get everything from one place, and GetHarley sorts me out. And that's that.
I have to apologise if anyone can hear drilling in my background. It's my downstairs neighbours having their kitchen redone. I'm really sorry. Okay, so then what happens once the practitioners kind of develop the plan? Because the patient has time to think about it as well, don't they? Which is nice. Like, it's not like they have to then leave the clinic or straight after their Zoom consult they have to purchase. They get some time to then, like, because I've experienced GetHarley myself, so you have the opportunity to then look at your plan and think about it and consider before you purchase, right?
And that comes down to the point of, like Uma saying, right, she doesn't like selling. No practitioner wants to be like seen to be shoving products into patients. That's not what they do. The reason why they use GetHarley to recommend skincare is because they genuinely believe that if you use the right skincare and you're doing the right treatments, your results are going to be 10x better than if you just got the treatments. And GetHarley basically enables the practitioner to say, this is just a plan. And then GetHarley is there and available to ship the products to the patient whenever the patient wants. So if the patient says, I still have products at home, I want to wait until I finish, fine, you can come back to that plan 2 months later. If the patient says, I want to wait for payday, which sometimes happens, or like Christmas, I want to buy something for myself, you can totally wait. There is zero pressure. We're not about pressurized selling, because that's not what we believe in. We are about you getting the right effective skincare for yourself at the right time for you and within your budget.
So then from the point of a purchase, I guess, what then happens? Like, how long are your sort of delivery times? I know it gets sent straight to the client at home, but after the practitioners kind of put their order in, so to speak, or the patient has from their end, what happens then?
So imagine you see Dr. Uma, whether in clinic or online, she spends time with you. She does 1 minute consult plan, sets it up. You get your text message. Usually within 15, 20 minutes, you'll get your text message that says, here's your plan. If you purchase it there and then, on average, you'll get it within 48 hours to your door if you're in the UK. Otherwise, it could be about 5 days or so if it's international.
Okay, cool. And then, for repurchasing, they just literally follow a link, don't they, and top up.
Exactly. You get a text message. It's very human, actually, even though, we have a lot of technology. You get a text message that says, Georgia, you're going to be running low on X. Do you want to repurchase? And you can decide whether you want it or not. We're not going to charge you if you're not convinced. If you say, actually, I want a stronger product, can Dr. Uma recommend that? We facilitate all of that. So you don't have to walk back into the clinic to see Dr. Uma to ask what products you should use now that your skin has changed. And everything is just on phone. And then you click the link, you purchase, and then 48 hours, sometimes people even get their products like same day or next day, depending on where they're based and the relative distance to our warehouse. So it's really as seamless as it can get.
And then can you just tell us a little bit about the pricing structure and the kind of commission side of it for clinicians who might be thinking about coming on board with you?
Yeah. So we always recommend sort of like the RRP, right? What the brands set the RRP to be. We say that's generally like the good price. But if your practitioner has, products in clinic, we can say we totally match it so that, there's no discrepancy between what the patient can get the products from online versus in clinic. And it's all the same. So prices are usually very straightforward. Most people do RRP, but sometimes the practitioner says, actually, I want this thing to be £2 more, £2 less. We can totally accommodate that. In terms of pricing for the practitioner, we charge a commission only if we generate a sale for you. So you don't have to pay a fee if GetHarley doesn't generate a sale to a patient and ships the products out for you, you don't pay anything. If we do, we charge roughly 20% commission on sales. So if you sell a 200-pound box, we take 400 pounds.
Okay, cool. And then
$40. 200 pounds, $40. Obviously, we don't take 400 pounds on 200 pounds, $40.
Yeah. No, that's how it came out in my head.
Yeah, and the practitioner obviously makes a big chunk of the profit, right? Because we only take 40 pounds from that.
Okay.
And then in the future, when we do the replenishment, the practitioner doesn't even need to be in clinic with that patient anymore. They just get that passive income, 20 coming through.
Fab. So then they don't it's not like they pay like a sort of ongoing subscription to work with the service or anything like that.
Entirely aligned. You do well, we charge a fee, and it's completely proportional to how well we generate repeats for you. You know, like think about Uma's numbers, right? About 90,000 pounds, 45,000 pounds are automatic repeats that she's not in clinic to generate.
Yeah, amazing. So if anyone watching wants to get involved and start working with you guys, where can they go to see how it all works and how they get set up?
Yeah, so we really believe in immersing you in our experience. So if you're interested, you can go to www.getharley.com/practitioners, and then you can book a demo. And then someone will be assigned to you to show you everything you want to know about GetHarley. It's free. And that's what I would suggest people do. www.getharley/practitioners, which is already in this chat here.
Yeah, Margot's popped in. Oh, okay, so they can almost get like a sort of walkthrough demo with someone.
Yeah, exactly. You'll get to see everything GetHarley has to offer. You can also, like, we do it in a very personalized way. You come on and you say, I'm a practitioner. Here's how I run my practice. These are kind of the things that I'm thinking about. I want to sell more skincare. I want to do more repeat. You just tell us sort of what your business goals are, and we will tell you how GetHarley can help you.
Perfect. Okay, cool. I know a few people in the chat have Emma and Margot on it.
Everyone on it
in the chat. Perfect. Well, if anyone has any questions for either Charmaine or Uma, please do pop them in the chat box before we wrap up. I don't know if either of you have anything else you'd like to add. I guess one of the things I was thinking about was I think during lockdown was really where, you know, that was a great opportunity for practitioners to get involved with you guys, to have that extra income while they were shut. But now that we are looking at coming out of lockdown and going back into clinic, the benefits perhaps of continuing to work with GetHarley and how it can help your business kind of in the long run. Yeah. I don't know if there's anything that you want to sort of add on that note.
Absolutely. I mean, when clinics are shut, obviously being able to ship products through GetHarley and your patients get these plans means passive income, right? But if you think about it, even in clinic, that passive income, even when you're in clinic, that passive income is powerful. If you had 30 minutes of extra time in clinic, you're much better off seeing a patient than packing boxes and shipping something and going to the post office, right? Like treatments are bread and butter of any kind of clinic business. So when your clinic reopens, I would encourage you to spend whatever time that you want to spend in clinic actually with patients, talking to them, doing treatments, and then let the skincare products, let the shipping, let the repeats and all of that be done by GetHarley. Because don't forget, if you are shipping products on your own, you're probably not going to be calling your patients up and checking when they're running low and sending them reminders. Like that's just not going to happen because you clearly have better things to do. So I would say that the GetHarley sort of passive income and service is really highly relevant when clinics are shut and also when clinics are open.
Yeah, I totally agree, Charmaine. I was going to say, for me, I've always I wanted to always have a really balanced lifestyle. So I have 2 children, I have a really busy life, husband is somewhere else, we don't know. And what I've done is, when I'm at clinic, I can like just completely focus on the clinical side of things. And then what I do is 2 days, I'm at home, and I do my online consultations there, and they like GetHarley know I like to do a morning session and then an evening because I put the kids to bed. And I can still do all of my housewife duties, everything else, administration, run the business from home, you know, like today, do things like this. But then I get into clinic, my patients have had this, have 2 days online. So it's actually kind of like you don't have to rush and do both sides to Tunbridge and to Putney. And then I feel like we've really achieved something. And patients don't have to come all the way down to clinic to do that meet and greet. And remember now, meet and greet is going to be in PPE. So it's really hard to sort of get, I don't know, that real connection. Everyone's a bit more relaxed on a Zoom call. You know, you don't know if I'm wearing my dragging bottoms underneath here. You know, I mean,
is Uma frozen a little, or is that
is it me?
A little bit.
Sorry. Yeah, you're good now.
Well, we heard you totally. Being able to work online and have sort of online consultations and product sales is such a nice sort of flexible working from home setup that historically just doesn't exist for a practitioner, right? You're either in clinic with patients and with your hands and everything, or you're not seeing patients. And now you can do it online and you can monetize through product sales.
Yeah, and while you're doing those on, literally firing your treatment coordinator the patient's number, going get them booked, and that half an hour of consultation time, which you've just done at home while, you know, dinner's in the oven, you've now got for patient actual treatments, which I think is great. And nobody wants to travel now because of what we've been through in the pandemic for no apparent reason.
Yeah.
Everyone's got anxiety now about leaving the house. So this is, for even now, I'm like, for anyone that can book in for April, I'm like, let's just do this online. Let's figure out what you really want.
And then come in only for the treatment.
There we go.
Yeah, so many people have said that they're going to keep doing all their consults online now, even when they can, because you're freeing up that time, aren't you, in clinic?
Yeah.
Cool. Well, we're probably going to have to wrap up, but this session we are streaming on Facebook as well, so anyone will be able to go back and watch it again. And then I saw in here, so if you want to sign up to book in a demo and skip the wait list, you can quote Uma and Aesthetic Medicine Live. Cool. Well, thank you, Uma and Charmaine, for joining us. Thank you, everyone, for your questions in the chat box. I haven't had to read any of them out because Emma and Margot were typing away answering. So yeah, thank you so much. Thank you, everyone, for watching. I hope that's been helpful and given you some inspiration and some motivation to start earning more money and better serving your patients as well. Thank you, everyone. Have a lovely weekend. And yeah.
Thank you. Thank you, Uma. Thank you, Georgia. Thank you for doing this.
Wonderful. Thanks, guys.
Yeah, thanks, guys.